like you and I who are able to sit and say, but this is nonsense. And more people who I come across are saying to me, well, I used to believe it, but actually it is nonsense, isn't it? They just take a cold, hard look around themselves, and they look at the effects, they look at the results, and most people don't even know the negative effects of all this lockdown and stress that is going to have on us, which is catastrophic in terms of healthcare and death and morbidity and illness.
I mean, it was a thing this morning, actually, I read, it made me laugh, actually, that the police have got so little to do, because it is so little to do, that they decided to disrupt a wedding which had 100 guests in Blackburn. Do you know, if they wish to take that risk, I know it's their risk to take, but when you talk about knife crime and you're talking about how the police are even being defunded in the UK at an alarming rate, the police have so much time on their hands that they haven't got any other more important matters to deal with than let a family and friends celebrate a wedding of 100 people, when it's okay that thousands of people can go and protest and knock down a statue. Yeah, they do nothing. And I've got to say, the level of hypocrisy is actually quite frightening to actually witness.
That's right. And you see the sheer illogicality and lack of sense of identity and community is just another symptom of a crumbling society. And it's not... Theoretically, we're not too far away from complete economic collapse and deflation, which will be unbelievably painful with a significant amount of social unrest and rioting. More examples. This complete nonsense of everyone being on tenterhooks and almost surgical emergency about which countries are now on the what travel corridors or air bridges or whatever nonsense.
And I think that's just political positioning, to be honest.
It is political positioning.
Look, the UK doesn't want people going to other countries and spending the money when they want it kept in the economy over here. And obviously I think it's not even that. It also but it also messes out.
The government just wants to give the impression that they have some kind of care and control, but actually they are incompetent.
But also it also makes it a bit more painful for Spain if the Brits don't go, for example.
Look at the A-level fiasco. They've ruined people's lives, and within a week, in less than a week, they've completely U-turned on their A-level results. But the problem is that the universities have already reached binding agreements with the students who came up with their suitable A-level results last week. It's a complete catastrophe, and funny enough, although I strongly disagree with that LBC presenter James O'Brien most of the time, who spends most of his time being sanctimonious and only half informed. He said, well, okay, so given the fact that Gavin Williamson has presided over this complete catastrophe, would you trust him in telling you that schools are going to be ready in September? Yeah. And clearly the answer is not.
Yeah, but you also have to look at the teachers. I mean, if it's based on teachers' predictions, if the teacher doesn't like a student, and it doesn't, that's not really a fair way to actually mark someone. They have their favourites, or let's face it, there's also students in a class where the teachers are probably very friendly with the parents as well. And we had this conversation a long time ago that if you go and see a doctor and the doctor likes you, he'll treat you far better than he would someone he doesn't like. And if he likes you and they treat your kids, they will get far better attention, and that's just normal human behaviour. So just because a student can be disruptive doesn't mean they're academically poor or anything. It just means that they probably display more leadership qualities because they're not willing to conform to the system, and you've ultimately disrupted their whole academic or their whole progression because you don't like them, based on an objective, rather than being objective about it. I think actually all the marking is probably even done subjectively. I'd be surprised if it is done objectively.
Yes, I mean you're right, but of course the objective marking happens with the A levels themselves, don't they? Because then it gets sent out to other teachers, whereas of course the mock exams and so on are done by the local teachers.
Well, the thing is, what happens if exams come next year and the students who were given the wrong prediction by that teacher, hypothetically, decided to retake that, decided to actually do the exam, or it would be considered a retake, and they actually proved the teacher wrong? The legal implications of suing are going to go up phenomenally if that's the case.
Well, it's hard,
because
isn't
if you give a child a C and they come out with an A, you've actually impacted a year of their life. Hypothetically,
it's true, but the system has to work in some way, and the system has to assume professionality of the teachers. So, for instance, most American universities will give places to students in the UK based on their predicted results, not on their actual results.
I get that, but then again, a lot of coursework has been done as well and produced and delivered and things like that. So those will always have, they'll also have implications.
But even if there's less coursework, it's still done on the predicted grades, which of course takes a lot of stress off of some of the kids because they know they don't have to perform that well.
Okay.
Although having said that, if you grossly underperform, I think the university may reconsider, but it's still only a may. So therefore, the assumption is that one has to depend on professionalism of the teachers.
Yeah, but also you know, I remember years ago, and this
which is better than an algorithm.
And yes,
the professionalism assumption of professional of the teachers is obviously better than a faceless, useless
I've
algorithm.
also seen time and time again over the years where some students had done really well in a box, and some have done really poorly, and the ones that have done really poorly will up their game leading up towards the exam, because
there is that.
And then you'll actually have the students who've done really well actually literally take their foot off the gas because they become overconfident. So I'm not sure it's a true reflection of what their end result would have been.
And look at school, for instance. You know, going back to the issue of working from home. You know, the fact is kids need to go to school. You need to go to university. You cannot study successfully in most cases from home. It's very, very difficult. It needs a huge commitment from the parents. And also in school, that's why they also give you study periods, because if you're in the class studying or in the library studying, you're in the right environment and you're not at home.
That's correct.
So that's another example of working from home not being suitable. And the fact is that there's going to be a huge number of kids who have vastly different attainments and vastly different study abilities over this period of being stuck at home. And so September is going to be complete chaos.
Yeah, so just to sort of summarise a little bit because I think we're going to wrap up soon. I think in the short term, I think a lot of people who begin to work from home will actually see a lot of the financial benefits. But I think long term it's going to actually have a very negative impact on their mental and emotional health.
In the short term, you get a reprieve from the stress of modern life, because a few podcasts ago we concluded that the stress of modern life actually kills far more people than economic catastrophe and coronavirus combined. So of course a lot of people say, oh, this isn't bad at all, is it? But the reality of how we function as humans means that working from home is a catastrophe and bodes very poorly for the future of human society.
And there's a business opportunity for someone who wants to go down that road.
There certainly is.
All right. Okay, guys, thank you very much. We're going to cut this short. Actually, one thing we would actually love some feedback from you is, and we've had it from one or two people, that because we do 45-minute podcasts, some people actually believe they're a little bit too long, and they would like a couple of shorter ones a week. So we would love to know what you think and what you would prefer. So please let us know, and we'd be very grateful to hear your comments. Thank you very much.
Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.